What is a basic skill that you grew up thinking everyone had until you saw others do it so horribly? Being polite, having manners. Following an instruction manual. I heard people say I don't know how to build an IKEA cupboard. Neither do I. That's why they ship it with instructions. Using a washing machine and dryer. First thing I did when I moved in my room was look up the washing machine model to figure out which compartment to put the washing powder. Every single time I went there I saw leftover washing powder in the fabric softener compartment. For like 6 months until they moved out. Did they never look it up? Is it not the first instinct? Am I not the norm at just looking up what I don't know? Explaining things. If I explain something and someone tells me they don't understand, I explain it again, but frame or phrase it differently. I will never understand why so many people think just saying the exact same words again in a more exasperated, condescending tone is at all effective. And louder. Please yell the same sentence again. It should clear things up. Mopping, sweeping. This is true. The floor always come out somewhat dirty every time I sweep it. As I'm reading the comments, someone should do a good tutorial at cleaning floors. The best tip I can impart for mopping floors is to use 2 buckets. One with hot water and the other with hot water and cleaning product. Use the hot clean water to rinse the mop before dunking it in the bucket with cleaning product. That way you can dump and refill the hot water as it gets filthy without losing cleaning product and without smearing the dirt back on the floor. Edit, don't drink no mop water, kids. Edit 2, my autocorrect is trying to kill you. Don't drink mop water. Do drink clean water. However, see, I was coming here to say what I don't understand about mopping is you're just putting dirty water back on the floor using 2 buckets, which I've never seen anyone do. Makes sense to avoid that. I had a friend who grew up with maids. He was 18 and gay and his family kicked him out. So he got this tiny little rundown studio apartment in Los Feliz. He was super proud of it and invited me to see it. He was using candles to light it when I got there, maybe to save money, maybe to hide the blemishes, and had left an ashtray on the floor, which I accidentally kicked and got cold ashes all over his carpet. He freaked the duck out. What do I do? How am I going to clean that? With a vacuum? I replied, confused as to why this was a mystery. He didn't have one. So he went to ask the building manager if there was one he could borrow, which there was. He pulls this standard upright vacuum into the middle of the room and then stares at it. After a few seconds wondering what he was doing, I asked, do you not know how to use a vacuum? No, you have to understand. We always had maids. I never even made a bed before last week. So I plug it in, turn it on, and take it a couple times back and forth across part of the carpet. Then, like a child with the Fisher Price Popper vacuum, he went to work. He was over the moon excited. 25 years later, it's a favorite memory of that person. At least he was willing to learn and had fun doing it. Best attitude, to be honest. I kid you not. I lived with a guy once who had a butler his whole life. Things I taught him. 1. The funky knife with a hole in it is not useless. It's a potato peeler. 2. You open cans with a can opener. 3. Nothing needs to be microwaved for 10 minutes. For the record, I really liked this guy and he was incredibly fun and kind. I need to know what he put in the microwave for 10 minutes. One time as a kid I had just learned how tornadoes form hot and cold air mixing. Yay, 8y. Oh, brain. So I figured I'd make a tiny one in the mic. See what happens. Froze a few dog treats to experiment and then nuked them for 8 minutes. Burnt them. Broke the plate. Didn't see a tornado. Mom was angry though. Edited to mention this being my most upvoted comment and to remark on the fact that I did pursue a science degree and my inquisitiveness shall forever know no bounds. Maybe I can get a giant microwave commissioned and we can make a tornado creator to clean up the Pacific garbage patch. I have to admire the sheer bravery and audacity of 8-year-old you. You learned about these natural disasters of catastrophically terrifying power, and then instead of being appropriately horrified by them, you decided I want to generate one of those inside of my house. Laundry, especially emptying the dryer lint. So many places I've stayed had bad dryers that were packed full of lint. How these people did not start a fire is amazing. Peeling off the lint is the most satisfying thing and the only thing I look forward to with laundry. It's still pretty amazing watching how some people use their phones and computers. Like you could give some leeway in the 90s and earlier. Computers back then were fairly complicated for a lot of functions. But after 30 plus years of design refinements, to make them about as easy to use as possible, plenty of people, including younger people, interact with them as if they are afraid it will get mad at them personally if they mess up. Being able and willing to figure stuff out. A lot of basic skills aren't that complicated. And in this day, if it is complicated, the internet almost certainly has dozens, hundreds, or more tutorials. Quitting because I don't know how should not be the answer. I wish more were taught to figure things out, or seek the help answers to get it done. Edit being, not begin. I used to work with someone that just didn't have the curiosity to know how things worked. He would ask me for help for every little obstacle he encountered. Every single one. It was tiring, and I really don't know how he made to life this far. I'm shocked at how bad some people are at following written directions. Not travel, but like, assemble furniture, follow a recipe or experiment, read an instruction manual, and here I'm thinking building IKEA furniture is fun. It's like Lego for adults. I love it so much. I've never built a PC, but I bet I'd love that too. Being gentle with your things. Anytime we get help from siblings and their spouses, I'm astounded by how roughly they treat all of their things. How rough of a job they're okay with accepting. Also when assembling furniture, my best mate put together a set of shelves using a drill as a driver on the short and easy to insert Allen keyed screws. Stripped half of the heads and forced a few in at slightly off angles and also stripped their threads a bit. Like, what are you doing, bro? Could have just used an Allen key by hand and put it together in the same time without damaging anything. Edit. A number of people have mentioned using their drill driver with the right torque setting and an appropriate amount of skill. Yes, I agree, this is perfectly fine. I didn't mean to say you should never use a driver to assemble furniture, but more that you should know how to use your tools. Use what is necessary and do it with the right level of enthusiasm, strength. This was what astonished me in the before 4 times. Back when blockbusters were still everywhere, the insane damage to DVDs and game discs baffled the heck out of me. I couldn't fathom how people were ducking up the simple process of removing a disc from a case and placing it into the tray of a console, then reversing the process to place it back into the case. Then I saw my friend and his family and how badly they treated their own games and DVDs that they owned. That was when I realized at a young age that there are just different types of humans. Ones that just don't take care of anything that's anywhere within their general vicinity. Using the index of a book. So, I spent a year working with at-risk youth at a high school. There was this one day this boy was doing homework and said something like, "I wish there was a part in books that told you where in the book you could find what you're looking for." And I was like, let me show you something. I remembered a friend asking for a CTRLF feature for books. When I showed him the index, he was like, "Oh, that's pretty good." I thought that everyone younger than me knows how to do basic computer troubleshooting. Turns out a fair of people younger than myself don't know how to look up answers online. It honestly baffled me. I teach high school. The biggest issue is that everyone has assumed these kids know how to use the computer simply because they've always been around them while growing up. But no one has taught them how to use the damn things. I've got kids who come into junior or senior year of high school not knowing how to center a title and trying to do it with a space bar. God forbid they need to do anything complex. The one that got me were the students who never use the shift key to capitalize letters. Caps lock on. Letter. Caps lock off. I'm not a teacher, but there's something strange I've been noticing on the internet lately. People, kids maybe, will capitalize the first letter of every word in a sentence. I've seen what amounts to entire novels written this way. This one baffles me. My 14-year-old cousin does this. I told him, "You know that the shift key makes that easier, right?" And he responds, "I know. I just like to do it like this." Now, I can't figure out if he genuinely knows and has a preference, or if it's his stubborn way of not admitting he's doing something the worst way because he didn't know. Basic awareness of when to call emergency services. I recently saw a guy having a seizure on the ground on a busy street. There were 100 plus people standing around watching him. I shouted, "Has anyone called an ambulance?" And everyone looked at me blankly. People were recording with their phones, but hadn't thought to call an ambulance for the guy. This is in the UK, so it's free to call an ambulance and the man's hospital treatment would have been free. The whole thing freaked me out. Edit just to say I've been inundated with comments and DMs about the bystander effect. Thanks for your messages, but I'm already familiar with this phenomenon. I'm a psychologist. As someone who works on an ambulance, I've lost all faith in people. Like you tweaked Johnny 3 months ago and waited until the middle of a snowstorm to call 911. Or on the other end of the spectrum, there are normal families that see grandpa suddenly confused and unable to remember his own name, and they'll wait 3 whole days before calling his doctor. Cooking. Using a washer and dryer. Cleaning. Most importantly, cleaning. I had a terrible experience with some roommates. Just couldn't clean up after themselves. Forgot who's made the mess. And would constantly blame the house being dirty on me. Me, who would literally wash every plate after I used it. Never left a dish in the sink. Would take out the trash fairly often for everyone. And whenever I had guests over, I cleaned up the apartment and left it the way I found it. If not better. Had to move back into my mom's house for peace of mind. I would have caught her charge back there, eventually. Once had a roommate who would load the dishwasher by just putting stuff in wherever it fit, saying don't worry, it'll all get clean. He would put cups and bowls in right side up, so they would just hold dirty water the whole time they were in there. Great roommate as long as you didn't let him do the dishes. My roommate was a great person too, except when it came to laundry. She kept loading her clothes in without detergent or anything. When she asked me why her clothes didn't smell fresh like mine did, I ended up letting her take my detergent, thinking maybe her detergent was bad or something. She didn't know what to do with it and was genuinely baffled when I explained that you needed the detergent to do laundry. Hygiene. This is a big problem. My parents didn't teach me good hygiene. I stank all the time, and it's not something people will tell you about. They will complain to people around you. My wife taught me better hygiene, and it has changed my life. I'm doing much better professionally, and random strangers are no longer mean to me seemingly for no reason. I wish there was a good resource I could refer my stinky friends to, so they could learn about it. A new woman had started at our company. She stank, and her manager found out when co-workers were doing the middle school mean girl shit to her. Manager stepped in and took the woman aside to discuss. Turns out that this woman's parents told her never to wash her vagina, but failed to explain that she still needed to wash the vulva and area around there. She also put a stop to the gossip and whispering. One of the best managers I ever worked with when I was in management. We had a lady that smelled horrifically like dirty crotch. I spoke to a few others in management and another woman there who was friends with the stinky lady. We got together and figured out she had no way of washing her clothes. So we got together and not only got her a washer and dryer, but picked it up for her and delivered it. She still refused to use it because she admitted, too lazy to do so. Everyone was pissed. Basic cooking skills. I once saw a guy try to cook pasta by dumping raw pasta shells in a frying pan with a little oil. Editor: wow, I didn't expect this many replies. I heard a story a few months back about a kid, 19-20 something, moved out on his own. He was asking how often he needed to clean his oven because he was doing it daily and complaining about how much of a chore it was. After some clarifying questions, it came out that he was not putting his meat in baking dishes or pans. Apparently he was slathering up his meat with whatever seasoning and then cooking it straight on the baking rack. Laughing my butt off. This is the thread that made me go, people are goddamn stupid to man. If we survive these idiots, we can survive anything. It's a comforting thought at this stage. Swimming. I feel like I need to be a lifeguard every time I go swimming and watch some people flail wildly in the water they could just stand in. I feel you. I took swimming class in high school. It wasn't just for swimming, as it went over CPR and it basically certified you as a lifeguard for a while. But we actually went to the pool every day and they taught us 4 or 5 different swimming strokes. I'm still amazed at how many people my age still can't use computers properly. I don't mean in the too old or too poor category. I'm talking about the sheer number of people in my age group who skipped past computers and went straight to smartphones. I'm 21. Blows my mind how many computer illiterate people are apparently aptly named because they just don't read what's on the damned screen. I see you've met my father. The scientific method. My public school science teachers drilled us over and over on critically designing experiments. I thought that was normal. Turns out, my hometown just has really good public schools. My 8th grade English teacher had a doctorate. Cooking. See now there. I grew up horrible at it. And it was a ex-girlfriend in my mid-20s who beat some ability into me. And I've been honing it all through my 30s as a husband and father. As a result, I solo-ed Thanksgiving dinner this week for 20 people. But I still have the utmost sympathy for anyone who can't cook. There's definitely the feeling of being way out of your depth if handed a recipe and you just don't know what to do. Thanks for giving me hope. I'm only 20, but it's a foreign concept to me. I don't understand the lingo. And when I try to help people cook, they usually get annoyed that I have to ask how to do something they perceive as common sense. I wanted to take a cooking class in high school, but they didn't allow me to because they said I was in too high of a grade to take the entry-level class. And I had to take that one to take gourmet foods, laughing my butt off. I'm still upset about that. Edit. I was not expecting all these responses. I don't know if I can read them all, but I really appreciate everyone who gave me advice. I'm going to try to cook an omelette tomorrow morning. Even if it goes horrible, I won't give up. When I was in high school, graduated in mid-2000s, they told me I couldn't take cooking or home economics because I was a boy. Writing an email with proper grammar and formatting seems obvious and easy to me, but I see so many people at work who are just the worst. Writing, and I don't mean grammatically perfect pieces or novel writing. I'm amazed how many people can't do basic level writing stuff like putting sentences in logical order, using basic punctuation and grammar, etc. I'm not a world-class writer, but years of Catholic school taught me the basics. I occasionally proofread papers for younger family members and honestly don't even know where to start. The grammar issues I can deal with, but the total lack of organization in paragraphs drives me crazy because I basically end up writing the damn paper so it makes some kind of sense.